My name is Nicholas Hicks. I'm a 17-year-old senior at Myers Park High School. What I'm doing today is I'm making a documentary on censorship. Now, why would a senior decide to make a documentary on censorship of all topics? Doesn't seem very relevant to them. Well, censorship is a very relevant topic in today's society, and what I hope to do throughout this documentary is teach you all that it is too. You see, in this documentary, I took 4 separate people: Jax Lascelles, Nicholas Berger, Nell Hicks, and Alec Granger, and I interviewed them all. I asked them the identical questions about censorship, and then I read to them identical information before asking some questions again. Today you're going to see what they said, what they already knew, and what they learned, and their opinions on the entire experience. What I'm hoping is that this will make all the people watching consider what they think about. Take the information that they see on TV or on the news, on the internet, anywhere with a grain of salt. Because it's not all that accurate, and it never has been. Thank you very much. Enjoy.
When somebody tells you not to say something or do something because they don't want you to.
Censorship is blocking the use of a certain website or the internet or something that you don't want anyone else to see.
Censorship is not presenting all of the truth.
Censorship is blocking certain items blocking something because you don't want someone to see that, regardless of why you do it. It's just blocking something.
According to the Oxford Dictionary, censorship is the suppression or prohibition of any parts of books, films, news, etc. that are considered obscene, politically unacceptable, or a threat to security.
No.
It depends what's being censored.
Explain.
If you're trying to censor something that will hurt the public, or you don't want to get out into the public because it might hurt them or might hurt your political background, then they have grounds to do it. I don't think it's right, but they have the grounds to.
I think some things need to be censored because the mass population wouldn't understand why it's being done, but I think in general it should be an open book and everybody should know the truth.
No. Well, unless the censorship of that information would save the life. I think the government should censor military projects. They shouldn't reveal to the public that there are where a certain spy is in another country, or stuff like that, stuff that would endanger lives. But censoring someone because of their opinion or a belief, regardless of that belief, is wrong.
In 1973, after plenty of studies made the fact that marijuana's claimed negative effects were lies and untrue, marijuana was nearly made legal, but it was all stopped by the war on drugs. In 1994, President Nixon's old aide, John Ehrlichman, came forward and said, "We knew we couldn't make it illegal to be either against the war or black, but by getting the public to associate the hippies with marijuana and blacks with heroin and then criminalizing both heavily, we could disrupt those communities. We could arrest their leaders, raid their homes, break up their meetings, and vilify them night after night on the evening news." Did we know we were lying about the drugs? Of course we did. Ehrlichman. Do you think government censorship of information is a good thing?
No. It keeps people from saying what they want to say and freedom of speech. And it's pretty much just telling people that there are certain things that shouldn't be talked about just because they don't want them to, and nobody should have to feel that way.
It still depends on what it is. With what you just said now, That is a corrupt government. What they did was a lie, and what they did was not true. So in that instance, no. The government was corrupt, and they didn't have the right to do that.
But any government has a chance of being corrupt. So do you say that
It's never right to censor your public. It's never right to, but they'll still do it anyways.
I still stand by some things like that are matter of security, national security should not be like open for everybody to know, especially because not only would the public know, but so will the spies and other countries that are not necessarily friendly.
No, I think my opinion has remained unchanged. The government should not lie about stuff like should not lie about material information for like they should not lie about the effects of something. They should only lie about like something that saves lives. That does in that instance it did not. When I say save lives, I mean like I said earlier, government missions. They can't reveal that to enemies or whatever. That stuff needs to be a secret.
Yes.
Yes. Because it hurts your freedom of press. If the press goes out and reports something and then the government tries to block it, how will you get that information?
Yes.
It depends. Censorship of certain stuff, yes, but I mean, I'll go ahead and say yes. Overall, yes, it does. Censorship is rarely a good thing, and it more often than not, it does hurt First Amendment.
the First Amendment states that Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peacefully to assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances. Madison. Although the First Amendment says that it is stopping Congress from limiting these rights, the First Amendment was made in order to protect these inalienable rights. Censorship attacks freedom of speech, attacks freedom of press, and is heavily influenced by religion. Censorship attacks freedom of speech by limiting expression to art. Art can be digital or physical, whether it be a film, a painting, or a Photoshop, they are all art. Art is a way of expression that has been practiced throughout all of history for members of humanity to express themselves. Censorship in art is very common in cinema and has been historically common in all forms of art due to humanity's old, more conservative way of life. Film has had censorship throughout history and continues to have it to a lesser extent today. Censorship has always been rejected by society, as shown by the example of Socrates, who chose to die rather than have his ideas censored. Marx. The second reason why censorship attacks the First Amendment is that it hurts freedom of the press. Censorship of the press is a problem that is now commonly not caused by the government in any way, but is in fact caused by the companies providing the news themselves, limiting what journalists can write on and talk about. This has been proven to be true multiple times over the course of history, because news outlets commonly are just searching for monetary gain, not to truly spread the honest, complete news. Recently, YouTube has become a major outlet in entertainment and news, but due to YouTube wanting to have a more stable source of advertisement income, they've implemented new rules and regulations for advertising. This stopped people from being able to speak in any way that may seem to be promotion of drugs or any regulated substance, which means people cannot speak in a positive way towards any U.S. Food and Drug Administration approved drugs and their effects, or speak on less regulated or approved substances such as tobacco in any positive way. People were no longer allowed to speak on controversial or sensitive subjects and events, which include subjects related to war, political conflicts, natural disasters, and tragedies, even if graphic imagery is not shown. This stops any political news from being commonly spoken on. News from if there was for some tragic natural disaster to be spoken on, or any news that can be deemed as controversial or sensitive. That includes speaking on a political election or speaking on things such as the Public Facilities Privacy and Security Act, also known as HB2. These are topics that people should be informed on and hearing and taking part in arguments, but censorship like this stops that communication. The final reason why censorship attacks the First Amendment is that it is strongly influenced by religion. Wherever one may be in the world, there is usually a religion that strongly dominates the region. The United States is strongly dominated by Christianity, while Islam strongly holds the Middle East, and although unofficially unaffiliated with any religion,
China is gripped by Buddhism. As much as people prefer to believe that most countries are allowed freedom of religion, the dominant religion still influences everyday life for everyone in the country, regardless of religious affiliation. The old idea that homosexuality is wrong rooted from religion and continues to be in the background of today's society. Even in cinema today, scenes that are identical between a straight and a homosexual couple are rated differently, with the homosexual scene likely to result in a higher age rating.
Yeah, still yeah. Because, I mean, a lot of things that they censor you about are important issues or things that are your identity, which you should be able to talk about, especially if you're concerned about it or want people to know. Because, people need to know these things, and a lot of information isn't being sent out because the government doesn't want us to. But in the end, it's just going to hurt us all.
Yes, Meister still stands.
Yes.
Overall, yes, but with very few rare exceptions.
I think it could.
I believe that it can lead to tragedy. I only say this because if something happens in the world, government tries to cover it up, then someone in the government or someone that holds the information leaks it, it'll get out to the public, it'll go to the masses, and mass hysteria could break out.
Yes, it can.
I believe it can. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head a single instance that government censorship has led to tragedy. I am not at all endorsing it. Like I said, I just can't think of anything right now. But I absolutely believe that is a bad thing and has the potential to cause extreme tragedy.
A reason showing how censorship is shown to end in tragedy is how it happened in Nazi Germany. After having become the only political party in all of Germany, the Nazi propaganda ministry, directed by Dr. Joseph Goebbels, took control of all forms of communication in Germany. Newspapers, magazines, books, public meetings and rallies, art, music, movies, and radio. Viewpoints in any way threatening to Nazi beliefs or to the regime were censored or eliminated from all media. This government took control of all media and stopped opposing views. This means that the ignorance of the people led to one of the greatest tragedies in all of history.
So now I'm going to ask you again. Do you believe that government censorship leads to tragedy?
Yeah, now that there's an actual example, I just had no idea that had happened. I mean, I knew about the burning of the books, but didn't realize that was the reason why. So definitely, yeah. I mean, it caused the freaking Holocaust.
This meant that the ignorance of the people led to one of the greatest tragedies known in all of history.
And it's like that now in North Korea.
Exactly.
They are completely censored because of their leader, Kim Jong-un, I think it is. Mm-hmm. He's censoring everything that he does not agree with and that he does not want his country to agree with.
Now, I'll ask you again. Do you believe that government censorship will lead to tragedy?
My answer still stands.
It can, depends on what part is being censored.
Well, like I said, I believe it can. I mean, I don't think Nazis are a great example. I mean, is there anyone alive? Well, I mean, okay, is there any rational person alive who believes that Nazis were good people? I mean, everyone knows that they were. But I mean, yes, government censorship can absolutely lead to tragedy.
That there are people out there who actually want to limit what society knows just so that they can do what they want and make it so that they have ultimate power.
The things that come as a byproduct of censorship, like what the government has done, what the government can do, and what has happened in other nations.
What has surprised me the most? I guess I did not know that in Nazi Germany that they controlled all of the media. But I'm not surprised because that's happening in other parts of the world now.
I would have to say, probably the fact, like, I already knew that the war on drugs was a sham, and it should never have happened. But I would have to say the most surprising thing that I learned was that a former Nixon aide admitted it was a lie, and yet I didn't know that. No media reported on that, and yeah, someone very close to that project admitted it was a lie, and I had never even heard about it.
Definitely.
I believe that it is relevant for most news outlets and in some forms the internet, but mainly it's the news outlets, how the information is heard to the people or given to the people. Because CNN and NBC have same topic they're reporting on, but CNN can have it one way, NBC can have it the other way. One can be biased and one won't be, and they give you the real stuff. They give you the same information, but theirs will be heavily rated because they're a more prominent source or so on and so forth.
Yes, because with the computer, internet, and the World Wide Web, everybody can check on information. So, and if, say, the government or the politicians give the wrong information and try to trick the public with the wrong information, somebody's going to out them, and it is going to come out. So
I think it's always relevant. Even if censorship doesn't exist, I think it's always relevant and something that needs to be talked about. Do I think it is currently something that is a problem with our society? I would have to say, from a government standpoint, I am not sure. I do think there are a lot of private businesses that are doing censorship, like you talked about earlier. YouTube has a problem with censorship. People have known about it for a while, yet not much has been done about it. But for the government, honestly, I don't know. If someone had proof that the government was censoring stuff, I would absolutely believe that. I wouldn't find it surprising, but honestly, I don't know.
Yeah, partly. I mean, I always knew like there are things that have been censored. I just didn't know how severe it could end up and how many things have stopped us from talking and how many things that the government doesn't want us to know. And I'll probably question like everything that I read in the media now because I won't know if it's the whole truth.
Yes, I will only look at credible sources. And you can only trust credible sources from those who have held on those sources for a long time, that have been credible for decades.
yes, because I will usually try not to give my opinion unless if I know it's true. And the same rules apply to us as general public, then, the government, the politicians, anybody can double check what you say and make you look good or bad.
I would say that the thing that will, overall, yes. What's going to stick with me most is probably the whole war on Nixon aide admitting to the war on drugs being a lie, yet no one talking about it. That will stick with me, and it'll change the way I look at law enforcement when it comes to drug use. That will, for sure.
Censorship has always been a demon in disguise, sitting in the corner of the room that is society. Every once in a while deciding to knock things down or even steal something from the room when no one's looking. By disrupting the knowledge of the common people, those who choose who know what have all of the power. By stopping the demon that is censorship, society would lose this huge detriment and be able to make progress in new ways with more knowledge and opportunity for all. Because censorship disrupts the basic rights of the First Amendment, disrupts the flow of accurate information, and has historically been shown to end in tragedy, censorship is ultimately detrimental to society.